and you guys thought Wink was the company man. This is going to be fun, I think. What is going on, community? It is TJ, aka Flash by Night, and today I'm going to come to the defense of CGC. If you haven't been living under a rock, you already know that CGC has raised a few of its prices, has cut back on some of its discounts, and basically caused a stir amongst the community. And a lot of people don't like change, especially when the change affects the change in our pockets. And people are, rightfully stirred, I'll say. But what I want to do is I want to slow it down and present a few facts, or maybe not even facts. I want to present an argument, or at least the outline for an argument, that CGC is not that far off base with what they did. You can argue the timing of it. You can argue how it was done, how it crept up on people. But I think CGC has some points going for it with what they did. And so I'm going to outline 5 or 6 facts. I'm going to ask some questions that may build on top of each other. I may touch a nerve or two. If I do, y'all can either ignore me, or you can let me know what you think in the comments about some of my points. I don't mind. Just try and be respectful of each other in the comments. But I don't mind you coming out there and voicing your opinion. That's what this community is for, and that's what this channel is for. And so let me go ahead and get started. So my first point is actually a question, because I think it's really important to my whole case, my whole outline, is to get to the bottom of this question and maybe ask this. Because if the question is yes, then I think I have some valid points. If the question is no, you can almost throw all of my arguments out of the window. So this is how we're going to start. I am going to ask you, did CGC's issues with turnaround times and quality control exist before the pandemic, before COVID, when lockdowns happened, when people started getting laid off, when people couldn't come to work because they were sick or because they were in close contact, all of these things that affected our lives? Was CGC's problems that exist right now, were they in existence before the pandemic? I think that's important, because if they were running their business on a regular schedule, if they had less quality control issues, if they had less submissions that need to be sent back because of cracked cases, because of scratches and things like that, if they had less of these problems before the pandemic, then you can kind of see that the things we complain about are kind of like the things that happen in regular life, because everybody's businesses were affected by the pandemic in some kind of negative way. And so I want to know if that's the same thing with CGC, or if 2 or 3 years ago we had slow turnaround times and we had hair in cases, things like that. I want to know if those things happened beforehand, or if they kind of started happening a year or maybe a little bit less than that ago. That's my first question, and I'm going to build off of that. So my next point is actually another question, and I believe it's also really important to what I'm trying to convey. My next question is, did CGC get affected negatively by these two factors? Did they lose labor because of downsizing and people getting sick and close contact and things like that went along with the pandemic that most industries and most companies had to face? Did that also happen to CGC? At the same time, did CGC see an uptick in production or in the demand for production? Let me say. Let me give you an example, and this example actually happened very recently, this weekend. Me and my wife were at the house, and neither one of us felt like going to the kitchen to turn the light on, much less turn the stove off, or turn the stove on. And so we basically were going to go to a fast food restaurant, grab something to eat, come back, and that would be that. And so the first choice that we made to go and grab something to eat is KFC. And no, don't judge my fast food choices. Anyway, we decided to go to KFC right down the street. We didn't want to go far, just down the street, come back home. KFC was closed because KFC did not have anyone to work that day, or at least didn't have enough people to fully staff the restaurant. I don't know. At this point, I think it's actually a product of people having extra money and not showing up at work. I've heard that around locally, and so yeah, no one was at KFC. Lack of labor. And then we decided to go next door to Sonic and try to get something to eat. So we go to Sonic, pull up, push the little red button. The little red button blinks for about 15 straight minutes. No one comes to the car to see us. And so my windows roll down, and the car hop kind of walks past another car who had been there just as long as us. And I'm pretty patient, but they stopped the car hop and asked him, why haven't they been addressed yet? And he apologized to them, told them that they were really short-handed, but they were doing the best they could, which I can see, because once again, lack of labor. But not only was there a lack of labor, but since KFC right next door was closed, I think there was also an overflow of demand from KFC right over to Sonic. And I'm wondering if that happened to CGC on a bigger scale. I think we know the answer to the second question, which is the increase in demand for their service, because we know the collectible market blew up during the pandemic. We know that people had more, or at least some people had more disposable income. Books got more expensive. Books were bought on a grander scale, and the demand for grading increased. We know that happened. At the same time, it's very possible that they lost labor during this time for different pandemic reasons. And I think if those two things happened simultaneously, then that's an issue that CGC, I don't know if they could see it ahead of time. I don't know if they could do anything about it. But I think it definitely negatively affected the quality of these services given to you as a customer. So my third point, and this is going to get to more outside forces, and we're going to kind of spread our view of the situation a little bit more. But my third point is that inflation exists. Every product, every service that you've ever wanted, every service that you've paid for, every product you've ever paid for gets more expensive over time. It could be gas. It could be cheeseburger from McDonald's. Don't judge me for coming back to fast food. It could be clothes. It could be cars. Everything goes up over time. And I don't think that CGC or any grading service for that matter should be held to not being able to increase the price of their service, especially if you increase it for the reasons that they say they increased it. They say they're increasing so they can buy new space, new equipment, hire more people, and hopefully give you the service that you are or at least were used to before things took a downturn. And I was watching Economics and Comics yesterday, and I'm going to mention this channel, but I don't remember the host's name, so bear with me as I do this. And he interviewed Steve Borak from CBCS, who is CGC's major competitor. And Steve Borak kind of agreed with the fact that everything has to go up, including grading services. Now, what he did say was that he would not see himself raising prices during a pandemic, and I'm not sure how fair that is to the to CGC's condition, their situation right now, because I think CGC is a little bit bigger. From what Steve said last night, I believe he said that CBCS has about 9 to 10 graders, and the host said that last he talked to someone at CGC, they told him that they had about 100 graders, which tells me that if they have the right amount of graders for the books, that CGC is getting about 10 times more business than CBCS. And I wouldn't doubt that during the pandemic, if that gap opened a little bit more between the two companies and the amount of product they get in. And I think CGC is like any other big company. As you grow, you do tend to lose things. You do tend to not be as personable. I don't think it's on purpose. I don't think it's a lack of customer service or a lack of dedication to the customer. It kind of reminds me of, let's say, a Lowe's versus a Ace Hardware. I hope I'm not offending anybody with this, but if you look at Lowe's and Ace Hardware, Ace Hardware calls them the place with the helpful hardware folks, and they make the claim that they're more personable, that they're more one-on-one, they're more focused on the customer. Whereas if you go to a Lowe's or a Home Depot, they have people on the floor there, they have people to work with, but it doesn't seem like they're as available. And I don't think that's purposely what Lowe's or Home Depot wants. I think it's just the product of being big, of being a giant. Now, can CGC, work on this and see what they can do to change this to make their big box store more personable? I don't know. But if you go by what CGC says, it's going to take more money, which I think is one of the arguments, one of the bones that people have to pick with CGC right now. They want better quality, they want quicker turnaround times, but they don't want, at least until they see the proof, they don't want to pay the extra money, which is kind of confusing. I can see where people are upset and they like to have the quality improvement shown to them first, but I don't think that's how it's going to work. But anyway, that's point number 3, is that inflation exists. Okay, now we're getting to point number 4, which point number 4 is a place where I think I may garner a little pushback. Actually, points number 4 and 5 will probably garner a little or a lot of pushback, and that's okay. Like I said before, I want everybody to have their opinions. I want them to state their opinions. That's what the comment section is there for. And so, do what you feel like doing. Tell me what you feel about what I'm about to say. And we can do like we have always done as a community, and go back and forth and bounce ideas back and forth, and do it just like that. But point number 4 is another question. Did we exasperate the situation at CGC? And I think the answer is yes. I think collectors are part of the issue that happened at CGC. And I see the way you're looking at me. Let me get through. So, pandemic hits last year. As I said before, the country slowed down. Less people were working for one reason or another one, pandemic related. And everything slowed down except the collectibles market. People were at home. People didn't go places. They didn't spend the money they usually spend eating out, going on trips, all of these good things. And so they spent money on collectibles. And you know what they did? A lot of them sent those collectibles to CGC in abundance. And so while the whole world is slowing down, we asked CGC to pick things up. Did that make the situation worse at CGC? I don't know. That's the question I'm asking. It kind of makes sense to me that would be at least one sticking point, but you let me know. Now, point 4B. I guess the first one was point 4A, but I didn't say so. But this is point 4B. When CGC started having turnaround slowdown issues and started having quality control issues, you know what we did? We ramped up our collecting and our grading even more. We know for a fact that CGC is having some quality control issues and their turnaround times are growing by the day. And you know what we're doing? Sending more books to back them up even more, to cause, I don't want to say people to be haphazard, but things happen when you get X amount of books with X amount of people. And as the months go on, you have X amount of people and X amount of books times 1.3, times 1.5. You have double the amount of books with X amount of people who've already let some things slip. And we have gone forward. In fact, tomorrow is the day that CGC switches their pricing. And so I've been in a couple of Facebook groups today, and I've seen people talking about how slowly, or not at all sometimes, CGC's website is, because people are clogging the website up so much to beat this deadline, to try and get who knows how many books in. Once again, we know they have turnaround time problems. We know they have quality control problems. And what do? Send more books. And I think that makes us part of the problem. Now I see you wrapping up your CGC submissions right now, looking at me like you're looking at me. I see it. It's okay. I do think that throughout the pandemic, collecting more and submitting more to CGC when we already know they have a problem may have made the problem a little bit worse. Did we make it 5% worse? 50% worse? I don't know. But I do think it's kind of a bad idea to send extra books to a service who's already having problems with the workload they have. Point number 5, and where I think I'm gonna lose some people, I may lose a couple of subs, but y'all ride with me. Y'all stick with me. And if you disagree, like I said again, put it down in the comments. I don't mind. I can take the heat. I'm from Alabama. I'm used to heat. Now the cold, I don't do so good. Don't give me the cold shoulder. Give me the heat. All right. So point number 5 is that we, or a lot of us, I won't say most, I won't say all, but a lot of us are giving CGC our books so we can maximize value. So we can 2, 3, 4, 5x, 10x, whatever book we have, so we can maximize value and maximize profits. That's just real. That's just honest. Now, at this time, when they are having problems, and like I said, I understand that the problems they're having is at the center of the problem people have with them raising prices. But back to my point, we are submitting to CGC to try and make a profit, basically. And I think being mad that CGC is eating a little into the profit that you're trying to make from their service is kind of short-sighted. Oh, I can see people clenching their teeth. I hope I didn't shoot anybody through the heart. I'm hoping I'm not losing subs as I do this, but I'm gonna go through with it. I think that, and some people are gonna get affected more than others. There are certain tiers that are gonna get affected worse than others. There are certain services. I think that they changed the pre-screen price from $5 to $8 if they don't grade the book. So there are certain people in this process that are gonna take a bigger hit than other people. But I still think that as you submit these books, as we submit these books, I won't say you, somebody's gonna take you personally. While we submit these books to try and gain a profit from CGC, when they're asking for a little bit of that profit, or a little bit of that potential profit, in order to try and increase staff and modernize and increase space and things like that, I think that it's a fair ask if CGC comes through with the improvements that they say they're going to come through with. I don't think that the extra they're asking, while you're asking them to increase your value, is not a huge ask. I've heard a couple of people talking about the customers incurring the cost of whatever they're doing, and I hate to tell you, but it's a business, and in every business, customers are going to incur some cost with the improvement or with the growth of said business. It's a thing. I don't want to get too far into politics. I don't want to do politics on my channel like that. But one of my favorite new slogans is that everybody loves capitalism until capitalism comes for something they love. And part of capitalism is growth and improvement of companies. And with that growth and that improvement is going to come a extra cost incurred by the customer. If it's not a cost, like this cost here is up front. It's in big bold letters. It's in 36 font, underlined and italicized for everybody to see. Whereas the 5 or 10 cents that Burger King, don't judge me for fast food, the 5 or 10 cents that Burger King adds every quarter or so to their combos, and that you never notice until one day you look up and your burger that used to be $2 is now $4.50, and you think back, I remember when this was $2. It kind of creeps up on you. Whereas this was like, here, big change all at once. I know it's a big change, but it happens everywhere. The jeans you wear right now, even the work jeans that probably used to cost, who knows, $5, $10. Not even they're $30, $40, $50. And maybe I'm outing myself for not knowing the price of jeans. But the things you buy, the car brand that your parents bought that may have cost 10 grand before, you just paid 32 grand for, because that's how things work. And so I can't blame this one company because it's part of a hobby that I like. I can't blame them for doing the same thing that pretty much the rest of America does in business. We have to remember that it's a business. What is the timing bad? Maybe. Like I said before, Steve Borak over at CBCS said that he wouldn't raise prices during a pandemic. He may raise prices sometime, but not during the pandemic. So is the timing great? Who knows? I can't say. I'm not in the boardroom. All I know is that inflation exists, and they felt the need to raise prices like everybody else does during a time of growth. So, point number 6, which is my last question. I have a lot of questions in this outline, but my last question: what do we want from CGC? I think if you polled anybody, the 2 things that you would hear everyone say that they want from CGC will be A, faster turnaround times, and B, better quality control. And if there was a C, I don't know what C would be. You tell me what C would be. If there was something you'd like to see from CGC besides better quality control and besides better turnaround times, let me know. What would your C be? But we're going to stick with A and B. Everyone wants faster turnaround times, and everyone wants better quality control. But how do we get there? How do we get what we want? Of course, we've already discussed a myriad of times over and over since last week that CGC's answer is to raise prices, lower discounts, and basically take in more cash. But what other solutions are there? I don't know a whole lot about grading companies for comic books, and I know I don't know much about card grading companies, but I believe this company PSA halted their new submissions recently and hope to be back at full strength by July. And it may be a different process. It may be a whole different ball game. But is that something we would want CGC to have to do to fix everything? Do we want to halt submissions for 3, 4, 5, 6 months for CGC to fix in-house? And even after they fix in-house, the flood of books that would get in after they reopened would probably shut everything down again. So I don't know if that's a good strategy. I don't know if that's what we want. Or do we want a limit on submissions? Do we want CGC to somehow slow the amount of submissions that come in to a manageable point? Do we want 1, 2, 3 book limit or something like that? I don't know. I don't think that's what we want as a whole. Actually, someone brought up an idea, and I don't think this is what CGC did. I don't. It's kind of savvy, but it's kind of risky. But someone, and I can't think who it is, said that CGC may have actually done this to purposely decrease the submissions to their company, which is going to hand over the market share to CBCS and to other potential grading competitors. I don't think they want that, but I don't see a way around it, guys. I don't see how CGC continues to operate at the rate that we want them to operate and not make any changes that are going to eventually cost us a little more money. I don't know what to say. I can't give a reasonable answer to how that would work. But if you can, I welcome it in the comment section. If you think that there is a way for CGC to improve turnaround times and quality control and keep the same prices, let me know. You can write CGC, put together a business plan. They may see it, they may steal it and not give you anything for it, but if that will help you save money in the long run and get CGC operating like you want them to operate, it may be worth a shot. So if you got an idea, let me know. So all in all, that was kind of my outline for my defense of CGC. We're going to leave it at an outline. I'm going to leave it really, really, really wide open. I'm going to leave it really generalized. If CGC wants me to draw this up in detail, CGC is going to need to cut the check. And I don't think CGC is going to cut me a check anytime soon. I'm just a little engine that could, and they could cut me a check, but no, they're not going to. But in all seriousness, I think we all want better from CGC. I think we all want to get back to the days when you could trust the turnaround times, when you could trust that the product would come back like you want it to come back. The service would be excellent, but it's going to cost. And I know, being as frugal as I am, I know that we don't want any change to happen to the change in our pockets. I know every extra dollar you got to kick out is a dollar that you don't have for something else. I understand that, I get that, but I think that this may be a necessary cost for change to happen. Now, if change doesn't happen, feel free to yell to the sky. Feel free to write notes. Feel free to make videos. I mean, you're already feeling free to make videos. That's why I'm here. But feel free to say whatever you want, do whatever you want. If in a year's time or so, I don't know how long this will take to turn around. Once again, quoting Steve Borat, he says that training new graders takes about well, they have to have some kind of experience, and then it takes about 6 months training on top of the experience. So I don't know how long it's going to take to train whatever new people these are coming in. I don't think they're all graders. But whoever this is coming in, I don't know how long this is going to take them to come along. I don't know how long this space they're building or converting is going to take. I don't know how long it's going to take for us to see improvement. But if after a reasonable period passed by, and you've been paying more fees, and CGC still hasn't improved anything, then yes, you are right to be angry. You are right to take your business elsewhere. But it's gonna take time, and it's gonna take money. I can't see any other way around it. I will say this: a lot of people have said that they are jumping off the train, the CGC train, to go to CBCS. A lot of people have said that. I will say this: if because a lot of people say things, but then they don't do it. But if, let's say, 25% of CGC's customers hop off CGC train, go to CBCS, that may cause a problem and also cause a backlog at CBCS. That we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to learn in the future how that's going to pan out. But for right now, this has been my defense of CGC. Once again, if you agree, if you disagree, if I'm totally off base, leave comments. Let me know what you think. I'm a big boy. I can take it. I can take the heat. But be nice to each other. I don't care about the heat, but be nice to each other. We are still the community that we were an hour ago before I started flapping my lips about how CGC may be right to raise prices. We're still that community. We're still good people. So be nice to each other. Be kind. And with that, love yourself. Love others. Like and subscribe. And I will be back in a flash.